the smoke. Excuse the smoke. Excuse the smoke.
Live from the dangerous room with your host, Dr. Chris. Dr. Chris is the smoke break. Is the smoke break.
All right, welcome back to the smoke break.
Smoke break.
I want to introduce you pot smoking pandas to our guest today, which is Nate Williams. How you doing, Nate?
Yo, Nate William Abbe.
Nate William Abbe. I mean,
How y'all
you
doing?
did tell me before. You just like, can you do it, Nate Williams?
William
Or did that
Abbe.
change, or do you want me to
Don't
give you
matter.
Nate Abbe
I
now?
go by Nate William.
All right, I was
Abbe.
just trying to honor what you
I
said.
honor the William because my great uncle, who was an artist, lived out on Cape Cod, did
Oh, okay.
paintings and shit, and I kind of carry on his little tradition of that kind of shit.
Word. Nice.
That's the only reason why I keep the
Yeah.
middle name.
Well, we had you on the show before. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
It
like,
was fun.
yeah, it was a good episode. You guys missed it because we had some technical difficulties,
Shit
and I
happens.
just decided to scrap it. Have Nate come back on. We're here to talk today about lost civilizations, ancient civilizations, and I
The
think,
Legends of the Hidden Temple. We're talking about game shows.
Yeah. So we're trying to start off strong, and this is a topic that Nate definitely wanted to discuss with us because he's been doing research, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been looking into the late Bronze Age collapse, which happened within 50 years. And if you think about that, that's 2 generations of people. That's a generation is every 25
So
years.
what are you talking about the Romans, the collapse of the Romans?
I'm talking about the collapse of what we know on the archaeological record. We know the collapse of Egyptians, Hittites, Canaanites, like
So you're talking about the collapse of the Hamitic kingdoms.
Yes.
If you're going by the biblical narrative, it would be the collapse of the Hamitic
1200 BC.
Yeah.
What's
That's about at the end of Egypt, basically. At the
Yes.
end of the
So what is
Egyptian king dynasty.
what fascinates you the most about this era of time and the collapse of the Bronze Age? What's so fascinating about
The very little amount of written language we have that can translate and tell us what happened before that.
how do you think it affects us today in society?
I think that, I think it more than affects us. I think that we're reliving a reincarnation of a cyclical time period where we might be running parallel to another idea of a lost civilization. I could get to that later, but sorry, bring me back.
You also have to realize that it's the run-up of, to answer Chris's question a little bit more accurately, it's the run-up of the biblical narrative. That's really all we got to say to answer that question that you just posed, is how does it affect us today? It affects us in every way because everything in our society is based off of that biblical narrative.
Right.
So
We're
Which
living
that
it.
do you
came from
think
that
do you
time
think is that the
period.
first collapse of civilization?
No.
No, there was a
All right.
collapse before that. The
So-
golden age.
So do
collapsed.
you think each collapsed civilization played a role into the next civilization that was to collapse?
No.
Absolutely. I
Not
think,
in
I
a
think it
direct
might have.
way, not directly.
Not directly. No,
but
not directly.
Indirectly.
Indirectly,
yes.
yes. Yeah, I agree.
Because
with that.
remember Plato, Socrates, all of these different Greek philosophers, different Arabic philosophers, different African philosophers, different Indian and Southeast Asian philosophers would remember they would still, even though Egypt wasn't a superpower anymore, they would still go down to Egypt for scholarship. Egypt was considered the center of education in the world.
Library
It still
of
is to this
Alexandria.
day.
Library of Alexandria.
Exactly, the Library of Alexandria, going into Ptolemy Soter, where he had the body of Alexander the Great on display at the Library of Alexandria for over 100 years and everything like that. Like, you know what I
We
mean?
don't have that library anymore.
Well, we
though,
No,
right?
lost
the library
95%
got burnt
of it.
down by Caesar
Julius
and the
Caesar.
Romans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They didn't want that.
Don't you think
there,
that's such a
but
shame?
Nah.
And
It's
it was
such
on
a shame
accident.
that we
hold on,
lost all that.
hold on. To go into a little bit of a conspiracy about that.
Yeah.
See, everybody thinks that they burned all the information. See, but then that would mean the Romans were stupid, right? But we know for a fact that all of that information is just in the Vatican Library now. It's in the sub-basement library. They taught us that on Da Vinci Code. They taught us that on Angels and Demon. That everything since the beginning of time, every historical record is in the Vatican. There's some copy of something that has to do with that if it is not the original copies themselves.
They are holding something back. And I don't know why. I don't know if they're putting a facade.
Oh, because they have
on.
the because you know what they don't want us to get? They don't want us to get the Adamite writings. Because Adam actually wrote his own books to the scriptures. And
Really?
they did. Bro,
And so
Adam,
what do you
remember
think-
Adam
what's
was
in the-
created.
What's in those scriptures that
That's
they
the
want to hide
exact. That's
from us?
what do
though?
you
What do you
mean?
think?
That's the
Do you-
direct.
What do you think, though?
That's Adam's direct contact with the
Do you-
Most High God.
Do you believe Adam was created by? Is
Well,
basically
I
a
believe-
golem, but basically he was breathed the air of life into, and that's
You
how.
have to go into the Mahabharata to understand what
Yes.
happened. He had to actually Adam, how he became the living being was because of the demiurge, what we call the atmosphere today.
Okay.
Because so understand, before they ate the fruit off the tree of knowledge of life and death, right? So
There's
before
two
they ate
trees.
that, right? Yeah, but you're not understanding because
Okay,
the two trees, all that signifies is the duality of the Kundalini,
Yes, it
which is life and death. You know what I'm saying? The life energy, the death energy. You know what I mean? Or if you want to go into the Mahabharata, like they say about Vishnu and Shiva, the destruction energy in order to create, because you have to destroy in order to create something new. You know what I mean? Think about it. In order to bake a cake, you got to break eggs, you got to use milk, you got to put the flour, but you're not going to use them all individually. You mix them all together, which technically is breaking them all down in order to create a new
Creating.
substance. You know what I'm saying? We know what that's called. That's called chemistry or alchemy now. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Well,
Alchemy, which the word alchemy goes directly back to meaning Kemet, which is the ancient name of Egypt, which means the black land.
Like, take this blood for instance. We had this. There was weed in here.
Yep.
We had to break it
down
down.
the weed,
We had to
break
take the
down
Dutch,
the Dutch,
break down
word,
the
see?
Dutch,
turn it into
put
something
it
new.
put it together, and now here we are. And this isn't the smoke break unless we're smoking.
Unless it's metallurg, and then just like if you go into the scriptures about another thing they try to hide is about Tubal Cain, the son of Cain, Tubal Cain, right? Tubal Cain is the first, what we call the first blacksmith. He was the first blacksmith.
Where
He
does
was the one.
Where does he relate with the family tree of Cain and Abel?
He is Cain's son. You're not
Okay.
understanding. He's
All right.
Cain's son. That's why his
That's
name
what I
is
wanted to-
Tubal Cain.
Okay. All right.
Two meaning two, right? Or TU in Spanish or in other European based Latin languages means you. Two, TU. It means
Okay.
you, and then Baal, which we know means the Lord. You're the Lord Cain. That's basically his name in English. You're the Lord Smith, because Cain means smith, like blacksmith, shoesmith. It means that type of a smith, a worksman. So his name Tubal Cain means you are the Lord Smith. You're the Lord craftsman.
Forger.
And that's like my
Like he
name
forges
personally.
things together.
My name is
The
Jamal
forger.
Anthony.
Yeah.
My name is Jamal Anthony Smith, which means in the Hebrew, it would be Ya'el Adonai Shirach, which means in the beginning, God was the divine craftsman. Because who did he craft? He crafted all of creation.
You know what that kind of reminds me of? The Mandalorian. You know, who's that lady? She's like the craftsman, right?
Yep.
She's like the craftsman. That's kind of
Oh,
what that
you're
reminds
talking
me of.
about the head Mandalorian,
Yep.
the ancient one. Because
Yeah,
she's mad old.
Yeah, is that what they
Yeah,
call her?
she's the ancient one. Yeah,
like
she's
in
the one.
Doctor
Not-
Strange.
Well, it's similar to Doctor Strange. Yeah, not her name is not the ancient one, but when he was explaining it to them who she was, is she was the ancient Mandalorian.
Mm.
I love
She was
Doctor Strange,
she was the origin. That's why she was the only one who knew how to make the plates. Remember, she was over there, and she ate them up with just the hammers. She wasn't even fighting with blasters or nothing. She beat them niggas up with the straight hammers and the
Is she
with
the
the
one that
sledgehammers.
knows how to make the Mandalorian
Armor.
alloy?
Yeah,
the
exactly.
armor
Yes.
that is like almost
That's-
impenetrable.
She's the matriarch. That's why.
That's what's up.
She's probably one of the like Mandalore said, she's one of the only true Mandalorians who was born on Mandalore left.
Boba Fett wasn't a Mandalorian. He just wore Mandalorian armor.
Nah, he wore the Mandalorian armor.
Yep.
That was Mandalorian armor, but it wasn't made out of the same
steel.
one.
It
the
was
same steel.
thousands of years or hundreds of years later, actually.
No, that's the Mandalorian happened 50 years after the events of the Return of the Jedi.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It begins
All right.
50 years after the events of the Return of the Jedi. Because
So not even that. The Force Awakens hasn't even happened yet, right?
Nah.
So
nah.
it's like,
well,
how
actually, that's false because it's running parallel.
Yeah, it kind of is.
They're running parallel right now to
That's
each other.
that's what I would think, right? 50
Yeah.
years after. Well, maybe 50
Because-
years.
nah,
maybe
because,
Force Awakens already happened. Maybe
Yeah, because
Rise
you
of
gotta
Skywalker
remember, you
already
gotta-
happened
Because you got to
It probably did.
Because you got to remember.
because it was only 30 years after.
No, because you
35.
know why? No, because you got to
35.
remember. You got to remember this about what they say in the Mandalorian. The Jedi. Remember, they didn't even the homegirl when she was describing Yoda to him, Mandalore. She didn't realize that he was a Jedi. She didn't know the name to call them. Remember, she was calling them sorcerers.
Well,
Remember, she was saying they were sorcerer people.
This is the thing. It's Baby Yoda. So Yoda is thousands of years old. So I thought that it was running thousands of years before the
Nah,
events.
he's a clone. He's a
of-
clone.
Baby Yoda's already 50.
This
In
is
the
a
show.
clone.
Not 75. They
See, I
said,
haven't
75?
seen the series,
they
so I
said
need
that
to.
it's possible that he's even as high as 75.
Even yeah.
Okay.
That because they would say for the first 100 years of Yoda's race's life, they're what we would call infant stage in humans.
Yeah.
It runs parallel to the infant stage in humans,
Yeah. Well, his
So, like, 1 to
lifespan
5
was, like,
years
about
old.
a millennium.
like 1 to 5 years old. No, actually, they can live more than 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Yoda only lived 1,000 years because you got to remember that Yoda lived in a time when the dark side of the Force was very prevalent. And Yoda is extreme light. So when the darkness comes, Yoda loses power. That's why he left. That's why he went into the Force in the Return of the Jedi. That's why he told Luke that he was sick. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It wasn't that he was sick because his body was failing him. He was sick because the dark side was taking over, and he
The
couldn't
dark
live
side
in
was
that.
the dark side was too powerful, and I feel like Luke was also very powerful.
And it was
as well.
ambiently destroying
And I think
Yoda.
I
The
think
tide of
together that was what was creating like an imbalance. I feel
No,
like 'cause
that-
Yoda wasn't
A
supposed to
rift.
be there, right? Yoda
No,
wasn't
actually,
supposed to
I
be
feel
there.
like the imbalance comes from the fact that Luke was indecisive.
Well, here's how
Yes.
I think. Here's what I think about it. Here's how I think of the Force being balanced, or whether it's not balanced. It's like if you have an extremely powerful Jedi, there's going to be an answer for it over here on the other side, right? And if there's any more extremely powerful like Sith than more than
Yeah, but
one
you're
or
not
two,
understanding. That's
But
why
or
like,
more than
what are you
one or
saying?
two Jedi,
But you
then
gotta
the
understand-
Force is
Yeah, but you're
unbalanced.
not
Like
What he
understanding.
was saying-
You're not understanding what I was saying, though.
Right, right.
Luke
About
was
Luke being
indecisive.
indecisive, so that way,
Yes.
so he was stuck in the middle of the balance. So the balance
So,
didn't know
yeah.
which way to compensate.
So he didn't know.
Luke was balanced. That's
No,
that's
but
the
Luke
timer.
didn't know,
right?
Luke wasn't balanced. Luke was neutral
Yes.
because he didn't know if he was a Jedi yet or not.
He had free will.
Exactly.
He could choose to go
And-
with
and
the
then-
Sith
and then if
or
we
be
go-
a Jedi.
hold on,
See, that's what
hold on.
I'm saying.
And if we go
To
into the
me,
later
what I
movies,
take from it, it's like
Hold
being
on.
balanced is in
Hold
the
on,
Force
if we go
is
into-
being
If we
neutral.
go into the later movies, right, the next three
Yeah.
after Return of the Jedi, we still see that indecisive nature in Luke Skywalker until the end of the second one.
Yeah.
And that's when he actually realized, yo, I gotta take charge. This is my time. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of why I feel like they were saying it's the rise of Skywalker, because he finally rose up to where he was supposed to be originally all the
Even
years
after
ago.
death.
So think about it like this. Anakin was quick to go into his spot.
Yep.
He was like quick to be like, yo, I'm trying to ascend into my power phase.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Luke was tentative, was the exact opposite. He was too tentative. He was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, Anakin.
Yeah, I mean,
Anakin had
he was
ego.
indecisive as hell, bro.
Anakin had ego, and he also had fear of
death.
of death. Yes,
But not death for himself, but death for people he cared about.
Yes,
And that came from his mother, from him losing
Oh,
his
yeah.
mother at that young age.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
which means that the seed of the dark side was planted in him all the way back in episode 1.
yes, exactly.
Which that's why Mace Windu said we got to be careful with this one. But nobody wanted to listen to him, even though Yoda already knew what was going to go down. But
Nope.
Yoda knew he couldn't interfere, though. That's why.
Because he couldn't do anything about it.
He knew he was gonna turn into Lord Vader regardless.
Well, he
It
knew
wasn't
he was
the
going
ba-
to bring
he knew
balance
that-
to the
he
Force,
knew
but he didn't know
was
how.
not. But he knew Anakin was not the balance. He was not the actual balance of the Force that was coming.
he knew that.
but
there
it
were-
wasn't gonna be involved with his
I look
bloodlines.
at it like this: Anakin was like putting one weight on the scale, and you needed Luke to weigh it all out to even.
Nah,
it.
that's not because it took Luke and Leia to even out.
That's
Darth
Yeah.
That's kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like the Force, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I
'Cause
feel like
even
it's
Leia
like a
was more-
fabric. Like think of
'cause- yeah.
space, you know what I mean? You got like gravity spots, like
yeah, but I feel
the
like
sun, this, you know what I mean? Like that's the Force.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like the anchors are the Force sensitives.
no.
Yeah.
That's what
That's
I
not
feel
what
like.
it is. The anchor is not Force sensitives.
Like the things
Force
that kind of
sensitives-
weigh it
How do you
down.
define
Force
the anchor?
sensitives
The things
would
that
be-
weigh it down.
Force sensitives.
You know what I mean?
No,
That weigh the Force down.
sensitives-
Like
that's incorrect then. Because remember, the things that weigh the Force down are not the vessels, but the choices the vessels make.
True.
You're not understanding. It's a higher consciousness than physicality. It's the actions.
but it's
that
the
are being
choices. It's
taken.
the choices that they make that
Yeah, and
determine
that's
who
why
they
it's a-
become.
And that's an idea. That's not a physical.
That's why. That's why
And
it's a
remember-
whole
and
general
remember,
thing
that's
that
why
goes.
you
That all
and
goes
remember,
together.
That's why
Can
they
I-
become
can
a
I ask you
physical
something?
manifestation of that
Can I ask you something?
choice.
Right.
Do you think the Force is a manifestation of all the Jedi's past, light and dark, gray in between, and all of their consciousness rendered into one? Or
Yes.
how do you
No,
think that
no.
works?
I feel
Because
like
you know
I feel like
why?
that is
Because-
because the
because
Rise of
it's
Skywalker
every-
kind of.
wait, one at a-
Yeah, but
sorry.
now I was gonna
Kinda
say
does
it's
that.
everything in existence is the Force. It's part of the Force.
Yes.
Even inanimate
It is.
objects. That's why
That's
they're
what they were
able
kind of
apply
trying to.
themselves to
That's what
it.
they kind of like alluded to in
Yeah, with
the
that
Last
Palpatine
Jedi
thing,
Yeah.
right?
when she like solved
Lifted the
everything, all
rocks
the
and
dead
stuff.
things and stuff. They kind of alluded
Yeah,
to
because
that.
remember, if you go into the Knights of the Old Republic #2, the game, and that's why they're bringing that out as a movie now. Because
Yeah.
remember, the World Eater dude, he could bring people back from the dead. The dude who was the top Sith,
Right.
he could bring people back from the dead, but he had to consume whole planets though in order for him
Plagueis?
to have in order for him to have the energy to be able to go on and live.
Yep.
He had to consume whole worlds, whole stars.
And it was never
Mm.
enough.
And it was never enough. Why? Because the Sith always want more. That's part of the
Yep.
greed.
Yep. They always.
Well,
need
that's the
more.
dark side. Is you can never get enough.
And
That's the
dark
problem
side. And
with the
that's
dark
why.
side.
That's why.
You're never going to find
And
fulfillment.
that's why Luke should have already knew naturally that he couldn't go to the dark side, because even in the newer one, he's not that ruthless. He just portrays himself as trying to be tough, but he's not really. Luke Skywalker is not ruthless. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're
That's
right.
why Darth Vader told him that he wasn't ready to fight him, bro. You're
You're
not
right.
ready to go against somebody like me because I'm ready to kill you now.
He was toying with them in Episode 5.
Yeah, even in
On the
episode
de-
6 on the Return of the
Yeah,
Jedi.
even then, he
You're
was
not a
toying with
Jedi
them.
yet, my nigga. Come on, he told him straight to his face, "You're not a Jedi yet."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not a
He
Jedi
he
yet.
kind of wanted him to save him in a weird way.
But dude,
It's
that's
because
what I
Anakin
took.
couldn't save himself because of the
True.
programming. Because
Yes.
remember when Luke told him that he
The
cared
suit.
about him and stuff.
Luke
that's
said,
when it broke the programming of the suit on him.
yeah.
And remember, that's why he took his helmet off.
And yeah,
Because when he took his helmet off,
Oh well, Luke
he
put
was
him
no
in a
longer under the
position.
brain control.
Luke put him in a position where like he had no choice but to say,
but it
but
also
to answer him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But to
dude.
answer him,
it
like
was
genuinely.
cathartic. It was
yeah,
cathartic
because you
in the
know why? It
release.
broke Palpatine's hold on him.
he said, it's
Yeah.
too late for me. That's what he said. It's too late.
It's called catharsis. He literally had nothing to lose, so he spilt everything that was inside. Like
It was everything he had left because
Yeah.
you know why? It's because Darth Vader knew it was his end.
Mhm.
He knew it was the time of his physical end. That's why he was like, you know
You
what?
could sense it.
He was like, yeah, in the Force. Remember, because remember, everybody who passed away since the beginning
And
of
he
Star
was a
Wars,
Jedi.
that was a Jedi or a Sith, they knew when they was gonna die.
Yep.
They knew before they went into that battle they was dying.
Think
there.
about Obi-Wan. If
Not
you
even
strike
just
me down-
Obi-Wan. He knew because of Qui-Gon Jinn doing the same death. So he knew that was, if he's his disciple, I'm going to suffer the same death as him.
Yep.
That's scriptural. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ said that. Those who are
Yes.
baptized in my life is
Sacrifice.
also baptized in my death. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the curse of Jesus Christ. The curse of self-righteousness.
If you strike me down in anger, I shall become more powerful than you could ever
Yeah, but
imagine.
see, that's the difference. It wasn't even strike him down in anger. It was strike him down, period.
Strike him down, period.
Yeah, true.
If you strike me down, I'll become more powerful
But I
than
think
you could
that's
ever
implied
imagine.
that if you strike me down, it's going to be in anger because I was your friend.
No, because Darth Vader didn't strike him down in anger.
How do you?
Darth Vader struck him down in a moment of clarity, bro. Because he realized that this was because now he realized that on episode 3 why he wasn't supposed to defeat Obi-Wan right there.
But didn't he look?
Even though he was the better Jedi. He was the better combat Jedi than
You're right.
Obi-Wan Kenobi by miles.
better trained.
Right? But remember, what did Obi-Wan say to him? I got the high ground right
Yes.
now. So understand in an analogy what he's saying. What is he saying to him? I'm taking the high road on this one. I'm
It's-
being the Jedi in this situation.
Like, let's please negotiate.
But when he struck down, when Darth Vader struck him down, if that was Knights of the Old Republic, Darth Vader gained light side points. He didn't gain dark side points. He gained light side points.
How?
That was the beginning of the manifestation of him breaking the Palpatine hold.
By striking
Because
him-
Obi-Wan did not fight him back. He struck down a defenseless opponent. But Obi-Wan still had his lightsaber with him. Meaning that Obi-Wan had the opportunity to defend himself. And not only that, before Obi-Wan got struck down, they did clash.
Yeah.
So that means that Obi-Wan was in the dark right there. His vision was clouded.
yeah.
Because Obi-Wan was not allowed to see what was going to happen in the future in order to warn Luke. He could not. That's one thing that Yoda kept trying to get in Obi-Wan's head in episode 3. You cannot fuck with the future. If you start fucking with the future, shit starts going out of whack.
That's
now
why-
the prophecy is not going to come to fruition the way that it is portrayed in the prophecy, because now you did something in time that time got to compensate for in order for it to not be predictable now. You know
That's
what I'm
why I
saying?
think in episode 4 he had like PTSD.
In the collapse of the Republic.
Yeah.
In
And
the
it's all this
collapse
cyclical
of the
nature.
rebels.
It's the cyclical nature of just
but
revival
but Luke Skywalker, I believe, broke that cycle though.
yeah.
That's why they came back with that.
I don't
next
know
movie,
if you
The
can.
Rise of Skywalker.
I don't even know if you can break.
That's
the
why
cycle.
the title. No, that's why the title is The Rise of Skywalker, because he finally rose to the pose where he was supposed to be.
He brought balance.
Because remember, why did he bring balance? Because he became the master teacher that he never wanted to become.
Yeah, I agree. I agree
Remember,
with
he
you
was
on that.
fighting Yoda on that.
Can I ask you a question though? All right, so see, the morality in these stories for me hold just as much morality as the Mahabharata and the Vedic texts and the Dead Sea Scrolls and things like that. And as wacky as that sounds,
Well, not really, because
Are
that's
you
a-
suggesting that there's a chance that these stories could be real?
I'm
Are
suggesting.
you suggesting that that he's
You
stating
do
a fact in the
know-
beginning of all these
Listen,
movies?
you do
I'm
know that the
suggesting it's a
tribe of Judah-
possibility.
Listen, you know that the tribe of Judah, right? And originally in Egypt, right, it was called the Jehudi. It's like
Yeah.
Jedi, but with a D in the front.
Jeddah
The
City.
Jedi. The
You know about
Jedi.
Jeddah City, right?
Mm-mm.
In
You
Saudi
never-
Arabia.
Come
Saudi
on, bro. That
Arabia.
was the city of the Jedi, Judah.
The real Jedi?
There is a
Jedi
city
is
called
what it
Jeddah
is. Look,
City.
watch.
There's
And there can't go what Christ in them in the scriptures they call the golden candlestick. It looks like the handle of a lightsaber. Look, I'll
It
show
actually
you.
kinda does.
The golden candlestick.
It actually kind of
golden
does, and
candlestick,
weirdly
bro.
enough, the Ankh. If you had the Ankh and they're holding it like this, I mean, if you just Almost.
That's because the Ankh, if you know about the ancient script, the Ankh is actually two scripts put together, two what we would call letters put together.
Right, but the thing they
It's
hold
like
in their
if
hand, the
you
physical
know,
device.
like how they originally called it Egyptos with an AE when it's an Aeon.
Yeah.
It's an Aeon letter.
Yes, yeah,
it's not
yeah,
the A
they-
or the E, but it's Aeon.
They
It's A and E
misinterpreted it.
combined.
Yeah.
And the Aeon letter is basically the same thing as the Ankh. It represents it represents life. You know what I'm saying? But you got to remember that's the alpha, right? The beginning, because it's the womb. The circle on the top represents the womb, coming through the womb.
Can you explain?
Now,
to me
hold on. Remember, and now in Christianity and in Hebrew, we got a letter called the Tav. We call it the cross or T in English. And that's called the Tav. And the Tav is the last letter in the Aleph Bet, which is the Hebrew alphabet. And the Tav, it usually signifies like the end. You know what I mean? It's the ending. So think about it. And what I tell people all the time is that the cross represents the sword. The sword. Shing.
Yeah.
Now, because that's the last resort. Violence should always be the last resort. Now, think about it too. Now, if you have a cross and you have an Ankh, and you can stick the Ankh through the cross, and now you have the creation, how to create life as a human.
What do you mean by stick down through the cross?
Stick the long part of the cross like it's a penis through the hole of
Through
the
the hole.
Ankh. And now you have, and now what do you have? The beginning and the end, right?
It's almost like the original sex symbols.
Exactly. And that's why the Most High told us not to fuck with the ways of Egypt, because it's fornication. Their ways were
Yeah.
fornication. Their way
It's very Freudian.
it was very lustful and fornicative societies. Egypt, Greece, Rome, they was having sex like you wouldn't believe. That's why if you think that's why if you're like, oh yo, AIDS been here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, you don't know nothing about the old days.
Bro,
man.
we don't
Yeah.
know about the old days, my nigga.
Oh,
they didn't
God.
even have condoms yet. So you
You
gonna
did
tell me
mass
that ain't
orgies in
shit?
Greece.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, nobody talks about that.
I know.
Nobody talks like what
It's
the fuck.
because everybody's willing to subscribe AIDS to the United States
about,
government. Yeah, we
like-
perpetrated it. All we did was perfect the virus. We
Yeah.
did not create the virus.
And then we
what I'm
perfected
saying?
the cure and started selling it for fucking thousands of dollars.
Yo,
like
do you
now
think-
fuckers.
do you think
Millions,
there's?
actually,
do you think
yeah.
like
Magic
a
Johnson's
disease
still
or like
paying the bill.
or
Trust
like
Yeah.
a plague
what?
has
AIDS?
taken down civilizations?
Bro, what are you talking about?
That would be so
Remember
easy.
Smallpox in the Native Americans.
Yeah, but we're still here.
All right,
I
No,
mean,
but
like-
you're not understanding that.
I mean,
There's-
dude, like,
but there's
maybe
whole
there was
clans, there's whole clans that are gone. Like I can even go into the 12 tribes of the barbarians. All right, so we can go into a little bit of historical context with this, right? There was 12 tribes of the barbarians. Now there was one tribe called the Harulai. They're extinct. The Harulai went extinct. You know why? The Harulai were defeated by their own brothers. They were eliminated by
That's
their
what it's
own
They
written
killed
as.
themselves.
That's what it's written as.
No, they were killed by their own brothers, meaning the other tribes killed them. But if you go back far enough, just like in the scripts in the genealogy in Genesis 10, on one of that eventually one line they're all brothers.
What if they killed they were killed by their brothers, meaning that petulance and disease and plague had forced them to kill them? So
you're getting into some Resident Evil type zombie apocalypse.
but you know
shit.
how easy it would be.
Oh, there was. That's in the. That's
yes.
recorded in the Sumerian
like in
tablet.
the like.
Well, think about
That's
the
recorded in
plague.
the Sumerian tablet. No, they're raising people from the dead. Why do you think that's in the Bible? In the last days, the
in
dead
Haiti,
will rise from the
in
grave.
Haiti, they actually practice a certain thing
in
where
voodoo.
in voodoo, where you can use these alkaloids that are found in nightshade, atropine, scopolamine, and
Yeah,
what
they
they
used
do
it
is
on Weekend at Bernie's.
basically. But yeah, what they do is they put someone in a position where they're clinically pronounced dead, and they actually have like death certificates, and this has been on record. And these voodoo priests will come and raise them from the dead 48 hours later because they know the chemical that it'll like that they're not really dead. It's just a weird process that they're going through. It's very fucking weird, man. But like I never thought I would believe in voodoo or anything about like bringing people back from the dead, but I don't know how else you can explain it. Like there's this one story about a person who came back and literally like her personality has been like just zapped. Like she's like a shell of her former self. And like I don't know how to explain that. Like I mean, except for massive memory wipeouts from the scopolamine and atropine that was given to her.
You got to remember the memory is going to get wiped because remember, think about it like this,
Yeah.
right? They raised up the vessel, correct?
Yeah.
So didn't they raise up the vessel without a spirit?
What they did was they put her in
No,
a
just
tomb.
answer the question. Did they raise the vessel up without a spirit?
That's a metaphysical question.
No,
But
it's not. That's actually physical.
well,
It's made manifest because it's through the DNA.
yeah. Well, I don't know the person.
The digital information of zeros and
I
ones,
watched a
binary
movie like
code.
that recently
Now,
with Nicolas Cage.
I don't
because
know the
it's not
person though,
your-
so I
it's
don't know
not
if it was
your-
the same person
It's
that
not
came
your
back.
spirit that comes back in that body when they raise you. That's why think
yeah.
about Weekend at Bernie's. Was that Bernie or was he just raised up to show them what they needed to see?
Well,
See what
yeah,
I'm
that's a
saying?
good allegory.
Now, so you got to understand because the Most High God did not grant you permission to go back to your vessel. Therefore, it's like you bringing back a computer, but you took the hard drive out and changed it.
It's like Pet Cemetery.
Now there's no hard drive. So now there's no hard memory. There's no hard disk.
It's unnatural.
So it doesn't remember anything and it doesn't know anything other than basic impulse. That means that I could be the computer with 6 gigabytes of RAM, but I got no hard memory. So everything I use in the moment, as soon as I'm done using it, I forget.
Well, if your blood has not been flowing for over 24 hours, I think your memory would be wiped clean. And then if it
Yeah, but it
starts
doesn't
pumping
even- it
again,
doesn't
you're a
even-
new thing.
No, and even then, you're not
You're
understanding.
brand new.
The spirit is what when you get raised up again.
Yeah.
This is the point
Right.
of resurrection, is that it's you still. They never
But how do
said
you
that.
know it's
They
you?
never said they can't raise your vessel again. Because they can keep you alive. Even medical technology can keep you alive as a fucking vegetable. They can get your heart to start
Mhm.
beating again, or throw your ass on a
You're right
fucking
about that.
on a fucking machine that they use when they're doing heart transplant. You know what I'm saying?
But how,
Or they can do like they do with the gyroscope with me on kidney dialysis, where I know I can bring my heart down to where it does no beats. I've had times where I've been on
I've
kidney
trained.
dialysis and they thought I was dead because I wasn't moving and I wasn't breathing because I didn't have to. The machine was doing everything for me, and I already know in my mind I can chill.
mind over body.
Yeah,
done shit
exactly.
like
My
that.
mind, because remember, just like in the to go into another historical context with that, that's why in the Shaolin temples, in the ancient Shaolin, even now in the modern Shaolin, but not everybody, only Tibetan Shaolin, not that Chinese bullshit, commercial shit, Shaolin. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the true art of the yogi. You know what I mean? Where it's the cross between the Hebrew, the ancient Egyptian, Sumerian, the Babylonians, the Cushites, the Dravidians. You know what I mean?
Hittites.
It's all of that original religion from the Tower of Babylon that you're supposed to know.
Tower of Babel.
Everybody's supposed to know this stuff already. You know what I mean? By the time you're
The Tower of
grown,
Babel is very an interesting story, man.
yeah, but see, the Tower of Babel, which people don't understand, is because they wanted to be God. That's the problem. See, God already told us in advance there's no God beside him. You know what I mean?
Well, there's only one conscious.
Yeah, but
Creator.
understand, he told us in the law we are gods in our own right, but there is no God beside him, meaning that he is God Almighty. There's nobody on his plateau. You understand what I mean? Without him, this place that we call reality would no longer exist.
The thing that people have a problem with that is because they see that and they think that God is a dictator now.
Yeah, threatening. It's threatening to them.
Yep.
And they see him as authoritative. But
Yeah.
see, it's funny. It's like, then show me you can jump 100 feet in the air then. Show me how you defy physics.
Yeah.
Because that's the laws of the commandments too. What did God say? Anything. He said to follow the law. You know what I mean? So that means in science, laws are considered to be things that are always true no matter what. It's absolute, right? That's a law.
To-
You can keep testing it and you're always going to get the same result. That's the law.
To me, it's just about keeping myself humble.
You know what I mean? Water is always wet, brother. You know what I mean? What
Thank
you gonna
you.
do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Water is always wet. I
Yeah.
don't care if
You
it's
ain't changing
steam.
that.
I don't care if it's steam, ice, or just liquid. That motherfucker
It's
is
an objective fact. It is what it is.
Exactly. That is wet. I'm telling you. It's something that you can never change. You know what I mean? And that's the reality that God placed in front of us is the limitation. The reality that we are the limitation based on limitation. You know what I mean? Our true limitation is the fact that we're an unlimited being in a limited circumstance.
Yo, do you think they had cloud storage type?
Bro, of course they did. The Black Knight satellite.
What do you think they stored it on?
The Black Knight satellite.
No, do you think they use quartz or
Crystals.
silicone? I think they use quartz.
No, they used all crystals.
The fact that right now, okay, so 12,000 BC, the Egyptians, the Hittites, the Macedonians, the people living in Crete,
The Cretians.
Cretians, the Canaanites, all around there, they all were snuffed out of existence within 50 years. That's 2 generations of people. So if hypothetically, if we were to go into an electromagnetic pulse hits Earth and we're out of our electronic power grid for 2 generations, 3 generations, how would we explain our smartphones and our technology and everything like that to a generation of people who were born into this world not knowing a damn thing about it? And like, how would our language transfer? And I'm not saying that at the collapse of the Bronze Age that they had the exact same technology we had. I think that they had a parallel type of technology that probably ran on something similar to quartz. It might not have been silicone based, like how we use transistors and gold and platinum and lithium. They might have been using something else, like you said.
No, they were using the same
Yeah.
things we're using today. That's why it's called alchemy. That's why they believe they was using the periodic table of elements.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So they knew about elements. That's why they was able to use alchemy.
Yeah.
But they actually got a more in-depth knowledge of the periodic table of elements because of their spiritual aspects that they applied to the elements. Because in science, they don't believe in the spirit, right? They believe the spirit is something fabricated by the imagination. So that because it's not provable. So, but you can't prove your thoughts either.
Well, just
You
because
know what I'm
something
saying?
is
You can't prove your thoughts. Well, you can do an action, but who's to say that's what you was thinking? You see what I'm saying? We cannot prove that a thought exists. We cannot
Yeah.
prove that spirit exists.
Well-
But we know they exist. Why? Because without them, we cannot function. We're
Exactly.
not the operator of the vessel.
And okay, so science might say they don't exist, but just because they're fabrications doesn't mean they're not important.
But it's not a fabrication because what about the Higgs boson?
Correct.
Antimatter, right?
They're not fabrications, but even if you want to call them fabrications, they're
What about
still
this?
important.
What about this too? Like, you know what proves the spirit? And this is how the Most High God explains it in the Bible too, with fire. You know what I mean? The spirit is an eternal,
Burning.
smokeless, heatless flame.
I always thought this was cultish, but at my church that I went to in Minnesota, we went up to the great to Lake Superior in the middle of summer, and they had this thing called the Eternal Flame.
Yep.
In the chapel down there, and it was this commune that it was fucking awesome, to be honest with you. But it felt cultish, but in a good way.
Yeah, then that wouldn't be considered a cult. That would be
It was
more
constructive.
that would be like your name, bro. It's an abbey.
Yeah,
Abbey,
yeah.
you know, you're going to go like in this, like the Shaolin do. They're going to go lock themselves into the
But
hermeticism.
they had this eternal flame that never went out in.
Yeah, that's
in
the hermeticism,
chapel.
bro.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hermeticism and Zoroastrianism. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
Which comes from that exact age you're talking about, the Achaemenid Empire.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's where Zoroastrianism came from the Persians, the Achaemenids.
It's great to put that into context
Because
now.
you didn't
I
even
was a kid
mention
just
them.
looking
You
at
didn't
it.
even mention them in the end of the Bronze Age,
Right.
and you're forgetting that those are the people who that you're like all these people got wiped out, but you're not understanding the Achaemenids is the one who wiped them out.
Well, that brings me to
Yeah,
my
I'm
next
saying?
question. Who do you think the sea people were? Because
The sea people is easy, bruh. That's easy. The sea people
The
is
sea
what we.
people.
The sea
Like
people
people
is
on boats or
the
people
sea
living
people
in
is
the-
who we call the Hebrews.
Yeah.
Yep, because the Hebrews, because Shem's Lot in the Bible, people don't understand. They think Shem's Lot was like Africa and all that. Nah, Shem's Lot was America.
What about
Shem got the
Eye of
original
Sahara?
Adamite lands. That's what he drew on the lot. Was Adam's original lands, which is the Americas.
What about the Eye of Sahara in the Atlas
We was coming
Mountain?
because think about it like this, right? I'm gonna tell you right now. Like think about it like this, right? Well, if you put South America, and this goes into the Eye of the Sahara and all that, what you're
Okay.
just talking about, Mauritania, right?
Yes.
Because if you
I
put South America and Africa back together, right?
Mhm.
It tells you in the Bible when they separated. In the days in Genesis 10, in the days of Peleg, the continents divided.
Yes.
All right, but it wasn't talking about Pangea though. It was talking about what they told us. Our society already told us in a roundabout way. What do they call black people? African Americans.
Yeah.
So what would they have called that subcontinent? African America? Is that not African America? When Africa
Yeah.
broke off of South America, did it not become African America? Now
Yeah,
that's
and-
African America.
All right.
You see where I'm going with that?
And I got to go to another point. It's incredibly ignorant to think that people in the African continent could not have sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to reach.
What about
the
when it was
Lesser
only a
Antilles.
river?
It could, yeah, when it was only a river. Exactly,
Because
exactly.
if you, my boy already did this with a map of the Amazon and the map of the Congo. When you put the Amazon River right to the connective point of Africa where it fits in perfectly,
Mhm.
the Amazon and the Congo become one river.
And where do you think we got the Amazonians from?
Yeah, exactly.
Greek.
Amazonas.
Yeah.
That's from California. You know what I mean? There was some beautiful. What is California still known for today? Beautiful women. You know what I'm saying? Let's be real.
Always has been, always will
Beautiful
be.
Word from the beginning of time to the end of time.
Shout out to
Beautiful women.
Cali, my friend Kristen Kessler
Well,
living
that's
out there
where
if he's
Hollywood
listening.
is.
You know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what race of woman it is. If they come from California, most likely they're beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's some beautiful ass people. Maybe they
Well,
might be. They might have
This
some.
ain't the smoke break unless we're smoking.
Hey, you know, we
Fuck
had
yes,
Duchess.
amen.
See, and that's what's funny about this whole. See, they want us to believe the out of Africa theory. So think about it like this: what if the out of Africa theory, like, it includes America? You know what I'm saying? Because I got maps in my own phone that
Well-
I could show you where the impact of the Younger Dryas meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs caused the flood of Noah, the impact zones, and then they show you where the wave of the energy would have ended at. It starts in South America and it ends in freaking Turkey. It was not a plate tectonic in the Atlantic. What created the Atlantic Ocean? It was a hydraulic plate. It dropped. The Earth
Oh,
basically
shit.
popped and turned. It popped in the where the Atlantic Ocean was when Africa and South America broke. Bang! And then the hydraulic plate dropped. Boom! And when it dropped, the world went shh. And now that's why it's aligned the way it is. Because remember, South America and Africa is not lined up though, where it would perfectly fit.
And also our
It
North
looks like it was blown apart.
our
You know what I'm
North
saying?
Pole and South Pole axis
No, this
has
is
actually
good.
been wandering in the past couple of
That's what I
years.
told you. You should have used
I'll take
Duchess.
a puff.
Flat Earth, anybody?
Flat Earth, I can't go with Flat Earth.
I go with flat Earth on a simple fact of I understand geometry. That I have to have a dot, to have a line, to have a cube.
So I believe that it's more
So just
likely
So
that
in order for the Earth to be a sphere, it has to be flat first. It has to be in the
Okay.
second dimension before it can be a three-dimensional object.
that's a fair starting point.
That's mathematically sound.
Yeah. It's a
So I
fair,
can-
no, it's a fair starting point.
You know what I mean? Grease? That shit's straight mathematically sound, bro. You can't destroy that. Why? Because the math is perfect.
I can't
I
destroy
can
it
show
sitting
you
on
it,
the
you know what I'm
ground.
saying?
I can't destroy that sitting on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you can still jump in the sky though.
But okay,
See what I'm saying?
the way I see it is
But you're not a flat line though.
I don't believe in the flat earth, but I believe that it's more likely that we live in a hyper-dimensional world.
The further away from society or Egypt you get, the closer that you get to El Shaddai, the wilderness, right? The less civilized
Yes.
you become.
Yeah, it's too much to comprehend.
It's too much for you to
at once.
for you to take in.
That's true, but I keep my civility somehow.
But if you are not around, so if you're not a survivalist, for example, say like you're a farmer, right? You're gonna be more of a sheltered lifestyle. So you're not gonna be prepared for some violence. If niggas run up and they kill your wife and blow her head off in front of you, and you're a farmer, you never seen no shit like that before in your life, that shit's gonna shock you to the point where now you're gonna be frozen in place. Yeah. Remember, you gotta remember there's people out here in this world that's pacifists. So
I am kind of pacifist, but dude, if you're on my land, I have
mean
no
a pure
qualms about.
Yeah, but you're not understanding. That's because you believe in a Eurocentric mindset of borders.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So you got to understand the way that the Most High God created everything originally was there was no border. Borders came between infighting between humans. So he had to say, look, this is your shit. This is his shit. Because if he didn't do that, we'd be still beefing.
The way I see it is,
this my shit anyway. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
I protect.
It's not even no borders. No, borders is invisible.
It's mine.
Come on, bro. We over here killing. We're bombing people in other countries right now because of invisible shit.
I protect my land.
And then they want to say God's not real, but fuck your borders then.
I mean, here's my thing. I agree with you on that.
There. Fuck them borders. Let the Mexicans in here.
Really though,
they're human beings. They deserve to be here. They was born on the earth, right?
Yeah. Every immigrant's been coming through that way.
It's been like that in all civilization.
Ellis Island.
All civilization, bro. America is the first civilization where they was vetting you to get up in there. It's like this is the VIP at the club type shit.
Kind of. Oh shit! Actually, I never thought.
You know what I mean? Yeah. This is there's a velvet rope over here, and they got this they got the centaurs like, nah, nigga, you can't get up in here unless you pass the test.
Yeah.
We got some things we gotta ask you. We need some family information, and then we gonna decide whether or not we letting you up in here. That's it. Why are you not getting up in there? Why do some people get in America when they apply for green cards and visas, but then other people don't? Even though they have the same circumstance. Because it has something to do with question. Because it has to do with the fact that you're not Israelites, you're not original Shemitic people.
I have a friend
when they trace you
Camille,
back.
Sometimes I wonder, how did this guy get into this country?
Think about it.
Other people can't get into this country. How did this guy get into this country?
He's a Shemite, bro. You know what I mean? You gotta be a Shemitic people to get in here.
For real, that's what they need. Like,
come on, bro. Why do you think they ask you your family information that's not Nazi shit to you?
I've been told that my name Nathan is.
Maybe they just want to add you to the system. Just like
but listen to your last name, the Abbe, bro.
Name?
It's French.
That's already Abbe.
They want to give you a last name.
Abbe is where they went to go train the priests. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. That's a Levitical. That means you got Levitical bloodlines with that. People in your family was priests in the priesthood. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's based off your name. So now I already know that. Oh, shoot, Abbe up. So he's in the priesthood. Hold up. Let me check his coat of arms real quick with his family. Then they're going to check who you was fighting for in the Middle Ages, in the Crusade.
I was just going to say the Crusaders and shit.
Yeah, exactly. French, you know what I'm saying? It goes all the way back. They're not just going to the Crusade because then they go even deeper than that. Yep. And then his family even went back into the ancient times and ancient Greece and all.
And here's the trippy thing, man.
Back, bro.
Here's the trippy thing. World War II threw my family off through a loop because my dad is adopted and I have no idea about my dad's background. Anything beyond my dad. I have no clue.
Well, that's where you have to just say, like, see, this is where it comes in.
My dad was born right after World War II.
That's why the Most High says the fatherless, right? You were supposed to take care of the fatherless. So that means if somebody don't have a father, you're supposed to take care of them. So that's like adoption, right?
That's why I take care of my dad.
You become that person's blood lineage now, even though you're not originally their child.
Yo, this is deep, but
because it goes into that in the scripture, because now they are your blood child, even though you don't share what we call DNA.
Yeah.
But by name, You have the name, just like the Most High said. Any other people called by my name is my people. So he said that's why he gave the Israelites his name. You know what I'm saying? Because he said anybody called by my name is my people. That's why in the Bible he's so disappointed
Can
in
you-
people who claim his names.
Can you talk me through this?
Because
He
we
said
all have
anybody.
his names. We all have names of God. You know what I'm saying? Especially most people who live who's from the West,
Yeah.
who's from Catholic origins, who's from Jewish origin, who's from
Lutheran,
Muslim
technically.
origin. We have names of God. We got God's names in our name. You know what I'm saying?
Oh shit! You know what? That's fucking. It's kind of true. It's
And
like
that's
you were
the
telling me,
divine
like, the
right.
John
You gotta
Michael
understand.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's a divine right.
Can you
bro.
talk?
And
Can you
my
talk me
name
through
is
this?
is Christ. Obviously, it's like. Psh.
Well, yeah.
What about you? What
He's
like?
Nathan. Nathan is a derivative form of Jonathan, which Jonathan in the Hebrew is Yochanan and Yochanan. Yochanan was King David's right hand man, bro.
Are you sure about that? That Nathan
Yeah.
is Jonathan?
Yeah.
I know that it's a biblical name.
Nathan is derivative of Jonathan.
Yeah.
John Nathan, Joe Nathan, or John.
Joe
What does
Nathan.
John mean?
John Nathan.
What does John mean? What does John mean?
Yes.
God, right?
John Nathan?
Yeah,
John,
Yahweh. Yahweh.
Exactly,
Yahweh.
Jah.
They should name
That's
someone
why
John
Jamaicans say
Nathan.
Jah. You know what I mean? They call him
could
Jah.
John Nathan.
That'd be
Because
fucking-
Jah is
yeah.
also Yah.
Can you talk
You
me
know?
through this
Alright.
though? When I was talking about taking care of like my dad and shit, because you were saying like that's how that shit happens. I got hella fucking resentment for like my sister because she put me on the blacklist. Basically, she don't talk to me at all, even after I got sober. And like I'm at home taking care of my dad, pops with Parkinson's and shit. He doesn't know his past. I'm trying to talk to him through shit. And like he's fucking 72 years old and shit. Like I don't even know how to like contextualize that really, but like that's kind of where I'm at right now.
You have to be like, first of all, it's because your sister, number one, you got to understand your sister is going through.
She got 5
psychos-
kids.
She's going through some psychosomatic stuff right now too that you are not aware to because you're
Yeah.
not privy to that information. You know what I mean? Between
Right.
her and your father, so you're not going to be able to understand ever fully what she's going through with that. But
Yeah.
on top of that, you have to see it as, like you said, your dad got Parkinson's disease. So the way that I can interpret that is because your family doesn't know their family history now. Now your history is erasing so much faster that now it's erasing their life. on
That's
his
what scares
behalf.
me.
Because yeah, but that doesn't mean that it affects you. It only affects him like that because remember that was his probability roll when he was born.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You have a different probability roll.
That's why I
because
like to
your
write.
birth
I
numbers-
want to.
Yeah, remember that's why they be talking about star charts, zodiacs. That's your probability roll. You know what I mean, bro? Like, see, like me and my mom, for example, we're the same sign. We was born 20 years apart, and we was born in the same exact week's time span, right? And it's funny, but the only probability roll difference, the only difference that I see between me and my mom that was the difference in the probability roll was I was born male. That was
Okay.
my difference in the probability roll. So that's what created me as a whole different total pathway.
How do
So
you
now I'm the male version of that bloodline. That's that system.
see? I'm
you know?
I'm Sagittarius,
Me
and
too.
how do you feel about the whole new Ophiuchus?
Well, I actually fall into that, and I believe that that's a more prevalent because it also goes with the
Doesn't that
mystery
take us
of
back?
that goes back to the mystery.
Does it
of
take
the
us back a
13th
sign?
tribe. The mystery
It's
of the
it's the
13th tribe.
13th.
Right. It's the
Zodiac
13th sign,
sign.
so it takes up some
Yes.
space
And 13
somewhere,
is a
right?
prime-
Yeah, but
13
it's
is a prime
But
number.
is it on top of it?
No.
Does it overlap?
Listen.
No.
The two signs?
Ophiuchus is the pathway of the sun through the zodiac.
Thank you. It's we can't see it because it's in the path of the sun. It's blinding us.
No, we can't see it because it is the path of the sun.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the route the sun travels.
yes.
It's what we would call.
But the
it's
stars
what a
in
map
that
would look like.
position.
You know when they
are
show you it
Ophiuchus.
like in the cylindrical shape, like a bowl type. When they show you the zodiac like that.
Yeah.
That's in. So when it shows you that.
So where does it
that,
fit?
Think about that.
It
role
fits-
as
so if
the
you're staring at
Ophiuchus
the
sign.
sun-
What's the dates for that?
Oh, that's in between November 29th and November 30th and December 17th.
Yes. And
And so those periods right there, November 30th and
December
December 17th, that's also
That's
Sagittarius.
a fucus now. No, Sagittarius.
it's
is pushed
there's
further back
Sagittarius
now.
and there's also
So
the tail
Sagittarius-
end
Scorpio is
of
only 1 week now.
So
See, I'm
where is-
December
So
9th.
where is Scorpio?
Scorpio is only the 1 week of Scorpio,
Does it?
and then it goes right into the future.
So everybody's sign is affected by that, right?
No,
No?
only the last sign.
Just-
not the
Yeah, only
beginning
the last.
signs.
There's 2 that are affected.
Well,
The
there's
one
some that
before
is-
Sagittarius.
Yeah, but you could get pushed into other signs though.
Yeah.
That's why some people in their life always believe that they were this certain sign, and then they find out they was really a different sign, and that's why their life is never going the way they thought it should.
How do you
know what I
feel
mean?
about like plurality of worlds and stuff, like life on other planets? And
Well, the life on the other planets thing, see, that's where I get it. I think it's getting hairy. I kind of believe what the Most High says about that the what we call space out there is just luminaries. It's just luminaries, and then
phosphenes
and
like
lights,
lights?
lights. It's
Phosphenes,
lights.
yeah.
And then in the show The Messiah on Netflix, they just the Messiah told them that this everyone who has or will have a spirit, this the spirit resides in the stars. Each star represents an individual spirit. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of those reality. I'm good. That's one of those reality checks, man.
Oh yes.
Like,
oh yes.
So, and because you got to think about it, that's one thing you can think about with life. Life, you can always tell is when something's dead because the light leaves the eyes, the stars leave.
You can.
Which is the same star that we see in the sky.
I've watched it go out of
go to the stars.
my
when you die.
cats.
It's the, no, you don't go to the stars when you
Do you
die.
call the stars?
When you die,
like
no,
Lion King.
No, when you die, yeah, when you die and your vessel die, when your vessel dies, bro, what it is now we go back into a position of observation.
You know about
understand?
Cat
It's an
Stevens?
infinite-
That's
'cause
what
it's
I
like
would-
an
that's what-
infinite. Because remember, we're just experiencing the infinite observation.
Do you know
that we're
about Cat
living.
Stevens? Do you know what Cat Stevens is?
No.
Okay, well, there's a verse in one of his songs where it says, "Lord, my body has been a good friend, but I won't need it when it's in the end."
You guys want
Well,
to spark
that's
a bowl?
technical, because
Or
if
should we
you
roll the
understand,
blizz?
like in Dragon Ball says, like in Dragon Ball lore, like which comes from Japanese
Wait, what was the question that you
lore
asked?
and stuff.
Cat Stevens.
About he said that his body can't make it with him in the end, but that's
Okay.
not.
It's
But
been a good friend, but
that's not necessarily true.
Can't make it with you.
Because the body is one of the aspects of the totality of self, because they themselves are unclean.
Who are the unclean in society today?
I would have to say the sex traffickers.
Sex traffickers, definitely.
You know what I
I'm-
mean? I would say like these these hardcore
corrupted elite.
drug dealers, the heavy drug dealers.
Did you just the elected elite?
Corrupted elite
Oh,
and elected elite.
The corrupted elected elite.
Well, we didn't elect them, really.
Yeah, no.
You mean the elected chosen?
the elected chosen?
They were kind of
The government elects themselves.
Elected. I'm going to put in parentheses. Elected elite. We didn't really elect these people. We're not in a democracy. We're in a representative democracy, and if you really want to look at it, we're in an oligarchy. So these people
We're
have
actually in the
bloodlines.
Exactly. We're in a we're not even in the oligarchy. We've already advanced beyond that. We're in the technocracy already.
Yeah.
Because our obsession is gaining the greatest technology, even more so than political power. Because remember, the technology, the people who are rich in the technology, Zuckerberg,
Yep.
Bezos, Bill Gates. We talking about the richest people in the world that are richer than these politicians, bro.
They hold more
Bro,
weight
these motherfuckers
than
got more money than
politicians.
Trump.
They do.
You're
That's
talking about
that's
niggas
the
that got
issue.
more money than Trump.
They're more
bro.
in
And
control.
I feel like the
than-
government is around to serve the corporations
Yeah.
the rich.
No,
It
it's
doesn't
not.
matter. It
No,
doesn't
it's
matter
not.
which party you
The
got
government,
in
no, the government
in
is,
in
listen,
Washington. It doesn't matter what
listen,
party
this is
you
all
got.
the government is here to do.
They're gonna do the
The
same thing.
government is here to keep order.
You know what I mean? They're just gonna get
That's
there
all it
different
is.
ways.
It's here to prevent chaos. That's
It's
all
just-
the government's here for.
Well,
It's just the
I
right
think
says
they think they're here to stop chaos, but what they're really doing is causing more chaos because what we need is we need our inner selves telling us to regulate ourselves and to not be chaotic. And
yeah, we don't need the government to step in and tell us how to
No,
raise
we
our
do
children.
need the government.
Thank you, yes.
Listen, we do need the government to tell us how to raise our children, but not in the aspect of them being the parents.
Not in the
In
aspect
the
saying
aspect
like
of
if you
them
do
giving
this,
us
then that,
education.
then we're going to do
They
that.
need to
We
give
need-
us the
You know what I
education.
mean? We're gonna come and take your kids away.
We
No,
need-
but listen. But something like them not taking away home economics in
Yes.
school
but we need
is
some
teaching
sort
us
of
to be good parents.
yeah.
what I'm
That's
saying?
that's the
You
authority
teaching
part.
these kids in junior high school how to cook, clean, and sew, and the importance of
I took home ec.
of craftsmanship and understanding how to fix your own stuff, not just be throwaway society. Let me buy this new shit and throw
Yeah.
this one away, even though it's still good.
I stitch my own
Right.
shit
Well, it's
still.
all
You know
it's
what I
all
mean?
Like,
it's
yeah.
all in the name of the society, anyways. It's
We're
like
a
yo, we
throwaway
we
society.
give our kids vaccines because we have a society.
We're a throwaway
No,
society.
but we need vaccine. Trust me.
We do
brother.
need vaccines.
And it's because we have a
But
society.
But see, the thing about
Yeah.
no,
You know what I mean?
listen,
We don't
it's
want-
because
we don't
have a
want,
global
like-
society that could any like weird parasite or infection could spread from unknown causes and infect other people throughout the globe, and that's the only reason why we need those. And like honestly, the benefits outweigh the fucked
risk.
up the risk. Yeah.
Now, and like, so, and I know that too, because that's like people like understand. You have to bring yourself to the conclusion of, you know what I mean? You could either take the risk of taking this shot and living, or you could take the risk of not getting the shot and now you're sick and it's too late.
And you could kill all the other people that didn't get the shot.
Exactly. You can kill everybody else, who, especially if you're not old enough to get that yet.
You didn't make the decision yourself. Your parents did.
Exactly, bro. You didn't make the decision to get the vaccinations. Your parents made that decision for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How come all these Jewish kids is getting hit with measles? Because them niggas didn't get vaccination. But me and you did. Me and you and you and you.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna catch that shit. So guess what? The Russians can't hit us with a measles bomb. They gotta wait more generations. But guess what? Now that they did this dumb little measles outbreak thing, see, the American
weaker.
government was smart. We did a false flag measles outbreak, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order for us to get people to get the vaccination rate back up.
Yeah, yeah.
In order for the Russians, because see, people don't understand this espionage, bro. The Russians is trying to wait us out. They're trying to wait into, bro, they got vats and vats and vats in Siberia of all viruses and bacteriums.
Yeah,
And they want to hit us with
I gotta talk about
biological warfare.
Have you heard of Volskov Island in the Aral Sea?
Which one is that? Where's
It's
that?
it's the biological warfare
Yeah,
island
that's
in
the
the
one that
Aral
has
Sea
the
that
gallons.
yes,
Gallons of the
the
smallpox and all
sea
that.
had dried up now, so it's basically in a desert waiting for terrorist groups to come and harvest. Like they have mutated forms of the plague. They have these genetically modified versions of the flu.
Bro, it's
that
like their
could wipe
version
us
of
all out.
CDC. It's like their version of the CDC, except they're weaponizing their shit.
But this is an island that
See,
was in the
that's
middle
the
of
scary thing, in that these things actually exist.
Yes,
Yeah.
and,
You
it's,
know what I
and it's
mean?
in Kazakhstan, in Mongolia, on the border of Uzbekistan. It's in the Aral Sea. It's an island
But
that
you
was
gotta
in the
remember,
middle of
they're
this,
not
the
gonna-
fourth
they're not
largest
gonna-
sea.
You got to remember, they're not gonna attack that because, see, that's some world-ending shit. Now, no, listen, see, this is the thing about, you gotta understand about
You don't need
humanity.
to attack it.
Nobody's ego is that dark that they want to start the end of the world.
I don't.
Trust me on that.
You're okay.
No, trust me on that.
Yeah,
Because everybody's human in this life.
you
I
are
don't
right.
care how savage you feel like you are or how dark you feel like you are. You know what I mean? you're not. If you're conscious, you're not dark enough to have that on
But-
your
You could be
conscience.
But there's a quote,
Possessed.
the pave
That's
Has some
different.
evil
you
tendencies.
could you could pave
different.
the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions.
It seems like this is such a great episode, guys, that like we're suddenly just running
Chillaxing.
out of space. We were as prepared as you always think you are. You're just like you could always be more prepared. You know?
True.
Hey, how about this? You get the you can you know what I mean. You can always capture the moment, but you can't capture time, brother.
Yeah.
You know what
Or
I mean?
you can't.
So we're just gonna we're gonna end the video portion of this with I just want to ask Nate like a couple questions. Like, let me know, brother, how do you feel about a painful death?
A painful death. I don't think that death is ever going to be painful. I think it's a part of life. I think that when I got into I've had multiple near death experiences. One was a car accident. One was me getting jumped and stabbed in a street in Minneapolis. The car accident one took place in 2016 on 195 in Mattapoisett on the way to Fall River from Cape Cod, and I flipped the car over like probably about 3 or 4, I don't know how many times. I just remember waking up and there was a limb from a tree that had come through the windshield and pierced the seat beside me, and that was when I woke up, and there was blood coming down from my head because I had the windshield glass had gone there. I think I busted my head on it or something. I don't really remember, but I remember looking up and like a bunch of people had pulled off, I think, and were looking down at the ditch where I was, and all I did was laugh maniacally, like the Joker almost. And I don't know why, but it was because what can you do? Like I thought I was dead. Like so that's literally what I did was I looked at the fact that a tree had just gone through the windshield and pierced the seat next to me, and there's blood coming down my head, and maybe it's the last seconds of my life, so go out with a laugh. And I didn't have that opportunity when I was 18 when I got jumped and stabbed in Minneapolis because I was drunk and I was unconscious basically by the time when I got jumped I turned around and the baseball bat was almost at my head. So I didn't have time to process it until after I had the head trauma. So yeah, I think that second brush kind of codified what I really think about death.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
It's a good answer. That was a good answer.
Alright,
Something that
thanks.
I'm gonna start asking like all the guests that come on. I started
Well,
that with
can I
like,
ask you what do you think? What do you think?
how do I feel
Yes.
about a painful death? Oof.
How do you feel about memory death? And memory death is everyone who remembered you and everyone who knows you ends up dying so that you are basically nothing now. How do you feel about that concept? Because that scares me.
That's like if you live like.
No,
Well,
I mean
if
I'm
you, like,
talking about
surpass
generations from
everybody, like-
now. When this is all said and done, when people that your descendants don't even know of you.
So like you're talking about like what is your legacy?
Yes.
If your legacy just is forgotten. Like
Well,
you're just
that's
forgotten. You're
what it
just like a
is.
random grave. Like, oh, who's that guy?
That's
Nobody
that.
knows.
Yeah, but the Most High God taught us that we're all erased from history eventually.
Do you think we'll come back?
What do you mean?
Do you think that when we get erased, we come back in some form or another?
I do.
No. Because even if we did come back, how you're portraying it to say come back, even if we were like given another lifetime, right? For example, if that's how you
Metaphysically.
want to say, right? Then that wouldn't be you anyway, because that individual spirit, even if it had your type of energy, is not you.
Yep, so that's it, you motherfuckers, you pot smoking pandas. We'll see you next time
It's the
on
smoke.
the smoke break.
Hey,
And don't forget, you assholes. I'm just. You know what's
don't call them assholes.
you know
Come
what's
on.
funny? You know what's funny is like I've been playing this game with the Smoke Break Facebook page where I would go like super conservative and then I'll
Yeah.
go super liberal, and people
Bro.
will be like, "Dude, what are you like?"
I'm a libertarian socialist, and it's because I'm Scandinavian, and I tell people that in America, and it confuses the fuck out of them.
Right.
I love
So, but anyways, I mean, I want you
Yeah.
yeah,
guys
but you know what I am?
to recognize what
I
the
don't know
smoke
what they
break
say
is.
about-
Take it for what it is. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of something for everybody. As you can see, this episode was full of like information and interesting discussions. So I want you to treat the smoke break like a blunt, puff it, pass it to your friend, share this shit. We're on all social media. We're on Spotify and iTunes podcasts. You know, I want you guys to, you know, go and, you know, tell me what you think about it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, give the channel a like, give the video a like, and
Spread the word.
Hit us up on the smoke break. Yeah, I
that's-
already know.
and that's the shit. So we'll see you guys.
Flip side.
Hey.
And it ain't even the iceberg.